Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
The Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning, dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another volume of the Lodgecast. I'm your Lodge Master. Tonight we are with David Bishke.
Hello.
And Brother Lucas Tanner.
Good evening.
And we have two guests tonight, two special guests. Brother Justin.
Hello.
And a returning guest, the Lodge's resident bad boy, Brother Jonathan.
Yes. I'm so bad that I dropped in on your Saturday night.
Bad boy in the house.
We are in
Bad boy now.
Beverly Hills, California. We are going so deep for you guys tonight, and we are going so off the reservation. The film tonight is William Friedkin's The Devil and Father Amorth.
Yeah, that's what we're going to go with.
That is what we're going to go with for now. It is playing at one screen.
One showtime.
And at one showtime, 9:55 in the p.m. Like, what do we know? What's our first blush about this movie?
It's the Exorcist real life, bro.
Friedkin needs to just give it up and fucking hang it up. No.
We're going to see a real life
This
exorcism.
is the witness, the
Dude,
first
this is
exorcism.
rock bottom. This is Friedkin whoring himself
So
out.
this movie is purporting to show a real exorcism. That's about all I know.
But he does look good.
And he sounds great.
The man himself
Like
looks good.
he is very youthful.
Imagine if someone told him in 1972 he'd be doing this today.
I think he wanted to do this.
I'm excited for it. I watched The Exorcist in preparation.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
And
I
I
didn't know we
Homework.
were supposed to do homework.
And I read about Friedkin's beliefs and values.
What are his... Well, I guess we're going to find out. But
Wait, is he religious?
He's secular. He's not like Blatty.
the author of The Exorcist,
kind of
William Peter Blatty.
Yeah, he's kind of exploiting it.
What is everybody's temperature on Friedkin, just in general? The Exorcist, French Connection, To Live and Die in L.A. I know we got some sorcerer freaks in here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his early streak, especially those aforementioned. But after To Live and Die, he kind of dropped off the map for me, with the exception of The Guardian, which I watched for other reasons.
Justin, where are you at in the William Friedkin verse?
Yeah, I think I'm about in the same boat as everyone else, where the early work is solid and then you kind of really just forget a guy exists, and then you feel bad about it and wind up in a Prius in Beverly Hills talking about his apparent downfall as an artist and human being.
Isn't 2018 extra beautiful?
Yeah, it makes me wonder if one day we'll be in this car talking about Steven Spielberg and George Lucas's movie about actually finding aliens, so their careers can come full circle as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, do you believe in exorcism?
No.
That's a flat out no.
We got anyone that believes in exorcism?
I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it.
You believe in exorcism?
I'm going to go, you know what? Who the fuck knows?
Okay.
People can like be so deep in their belief as a former cult, growing up in a cult.
That's true. You did grow up in a cult.
I was told that I could fly.
Yogic flying?
Yeah, I was told I was going to fly when I was 16. I never even fucking hopped. So
the boy who never
hopped. These guys are like probably from like super poor cultural like areas where there's nothing other than Catholicism, and so if they're sick or they're like feeling something bad, they're gonna blame it on the devil.
It's demons.
And their belief system's so intense that they could create the like all this bullshit that comes out of them.
Yeah,
I think
it's
real.
pretty
It's real.
accurate.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it as a psychological phenomena. I've watched many exorcisms on YouTube. I do recommend, if anyone's not checking him out, his name's Bob Larson. He's one of the great exorcists on YouTube and in the world. He makes tons of money doing exorcisms, and I also am sending an open invite to the lodge. When Bob Larson next comes through LA, I do want to go witness an exorcism. So, but it's a psychological thing.
Have you ever considered being an amateur exorcist, Mr. Bishke?
After I get exorcised.
Okay. One has to be exorcised before becoming the exorcist.
Yeah.
So you're gonna like actually start exercising, or?
No, someone's gonna exorcise me. Then I
Oh.
get the demon out. Then I go and do the same thing.
That sounds good. Well, let's smoke some weed. Let's
Yes.
get some drinks. And then let's go see
Let's get loose.
the Devil and Father Amorth.
God.
Yes.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna martyr ourselves. The power of Christ is gonna compel us to keep our eyes open, and we'll report back to you our findings on the other side. Love and light to a lodge.
The light.
We have emerged from the Devil and Father Amorth. Amorth is how you pronounce it. We heard it a few times.
And
spoken.
ironically, Father Amorth looked like the devil.
He. So, okay, let's break this down. We've been bubbling over, we've been giggling since we stepped out of the theater. This is a documentary.
No, it is not.
The runtime was a little over an hour. You could argue that it felt like 4 hours or 5 hours. Either 4 or 5 hours are your options. William Friedkin appears to have directed, shot, conceived of, written, like he's the whole crew. He is a one-man band, and it shows in
Well, Francesco.
well, he has a line producer named Francesco that may or may not
shots of him filming.
may or
we
may
don't
not
forget-
exist.
We don't forget.
But he is shooting the interviews. He's shooting everything. When did you guys know we were in trouble?
The opening graphics.
Yeah,
That's
They were
from the
really
very
bad.
top.
I mean, they were like,
From the very top.
I mean,
Like,
they were
from the
worse than like a
first-
Final Cut Pro
From the
preset
first 5 seconds.
from the first Final Cut Pro we ever used.
it reminded me of a Sega CD game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the footage, I think,
was
was
8-bit.
ripped from YouTube. And then every time they would use a picture, it was poorly digitized and on like a textured background.
The quality of craftsmanship of this film was perversely low. So we begin in like Georgetown, where Friedkin is talking to us like Robert Stack on Unsolved Mysteries. And
A
he
little too eagerly, too.
I thought we were in for a real treat when that started happening, because he's looking right at you. That footage looks pretty good. It sounds good. There's an actual mic on him, which there's nothing else in the movie is mic'd. It's all onboard, ambient, like shit sound. But when he's doing his Unsolved Mysteries, walking around Georgetown saying, when I directed The Exorcist 9 times in a row, that I think is great. Like, it's cheesy, but it's like he seems like your uncle at that point.
I was still on board at that point, even though the production value was sorely
Yeah,
lacking.
technically terrible, but it was soaring along pretty well.
So he's kind of giving you an overview of exorcisms, like real loose. Nardo, I heard you talking in the theater that he sounds just like Donald Trump, and he does.
Yeah, he does.
Like, he sounds exactly like Donald Trump, which makes it hilarious, because it sounds, some of Friedkin's information is a little spotty, so he'll be like, so what is this thing, demonic possession? It sounds like if Trump was just let loose in the world of exorcism, and he was asking questions sometimes. So that's an unintended bonus. But it's kind of like, I was thinking about it, it's kind of like a porn movie. So
It is a total like a
so
porn movie.
you know that the point is the sex, the coitus, if you will. But there's a lot of plot and a lot of filler leading up to that. That's kind of how this felt. Like, we knew there was going to be a video of a quote-unquote real
They
exorcism.
really take their time getting to it.
So they take their time,
oh my
and
God,
we
just
learn
get to
about-
The Exorcist already.
We learn about this other woman who was supposedly, like, possessed, but they have no, like, B-roll. So it's just her and her brother talking heads for, like, 20 minutes. Excruciating. Again,
That was the beginning of the end.
that was tough.
we started
Split screen.
we started going down in our seats and like really started groaning. Like, I knew it was trouble at that point, but I still held out hope for that impending cum shot of this exorcism video. I'm like, there's got to be something to it. But they also keep showing him Father Amorth, because he's like 90 years old, walking in his walker down this hallway to the exorcism room.
With the most bombastic music, like 10 times more over the top than the
The music's
Exorcist
great.
first
There's just like, when you're falling asleep, when you think you're like one toe away from dreamland, they hit you with these strings and it just wakes you up. But when we finally get to the exorcism, we find out that the woman that's going to get exorcised, this is going to be her 9th exorcism.
9 times.
Nine
times.
exorcisms. So
Guess he's doing it wrong.
it's not a special thing anymore. But we arrive there and her whole family's crammed into this room. So it takes on this kind of like sexual role-playing vibe to me.
Bukkake.
Well,
Spiritual bukkake.
spiritual bukkake, yes. That's exactly what I'm driving at. Because everybody's there, they're willing participants, but it's a farce. They've done it 8 other times.
Yeah.
So this is like playing
they're
Jenga on game night for
They're
them.
not giving up on Father Amorth by the ninth
Like
time.
William Friedkin's like, Father Amorth's in a class of his own. I'm like, yeah, bad fucking class.
They keep
that,
saying
like,
he's the best, but then you see Father Amorth, and he does look like the filthiest pedophile you've ever
he looks
seen.
pure evil.
He looks
like
evil.
pure evil.
And they keep zooming in on these high-res photographs of him. Everything else is low-res, but they got a high fucking res picture of him.
Like dark crystal.
You're just like, get off of the screen. But he's supposed to be like this kindly old exorcist. But then we get to the exorcism, and okay, Justin, set the scene for us. What do we see there?
Well, first of all, Friedkin makes it very clear that the rules were he couldn't have a crew, he couldn't have lights, and he had to have a small, unassuming camera. Now,
So-
I think he read too far into that and thought they were telling him the whole movie had to be made under those conditions, because that's exactly what happened. So in this little unassuming white-walled room that they were all crammed in, the exorcism starts, and it really is unclear what Father Amorth is doing new for this 9th exorcism. Like, it doesn't appear in any way that he's stepping up his game. He's got his little laminated card that he reads from, and he puts his hand on her, and that is it.
They wear the same purple sash, which is
Yeah, there's a purple sash around her and him.
And then
And
it's,
beyond that, I observed nothing in his arsenal
it's
that
all
would have
in
been impressive.
it's all in thick Italian. So
Yeah.
and they don't subtitle most of it because
Well, they
you know.
subtitle her. They don't subtitle him at all.
right, which is
Yeah.
fine because it's we kind of know what he's
all
saying.
religious.
Yeah.
But Friedkin thinks that this is so compelling, his out of focus shot, where it's focused unintentionally, but he'd make the argument that it was intentional. The autofocus slips and it's on Pope John Paul II,
JP2.
JP2. The focus is on a picture of him on the table most of the time, and the subject of the exorcism is woefully out of focus.
Okay, I just want to get an estimate. How long do you think that
He-
exorcism scene was? How
He lets
it
that
felt like
camera.
at least.
40 minutes?
Oh my
No,
god!
I mean,
it had
It
to
was
be
like
half
22.
it was probably 20 to 25 minutes. I think.
Oh,
It
real
was-
time.
But it was the
Real,
same
it was like
thing.
a uncut YouTube, almost uncut.
It was
YouTube
one
video.
of the most excruciating, and not from the subject matter, from the sheer punishing boredom of watching people that are
Circle jerking.
circle jerking. Spiritual bukkake is flying, and it keeps going. It's punishing.
Well, and what really did it a disservice is they were telling stories of earlier exorcisms where she was supernaturally slithering on the ground and transforming physically into something new that couldn't possibly be of her own, physical makeup. And then when we get to the actual exorcism, her voice sounds a little affected.
Because they affected it. They affected it, which is ridiculous.
No way.
What do you think that was the real?
That had to be real. There's no way they would have affected that.
Her voice was lowered and doubled slightly.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
You guys.
Yes.
That would have been the best fucking. I mean, it was too flawless. It was not affected. That was the way she sounded.
We would have to listen to it to see if it overlapped.
I don't. Yeah, it didn't.
I don't think
I tried to. I was trying to pick it apart.
They affected her voice, ladies and gentlemen.
They did not.
Because if everything else that was presented was unimpeachable and rock solid, I'd give you it, even though I deeply suspect it. But what comes later is unforgivable, and
it was very unforgivable. But the voice was not dubbed.
So after
the real sin of
the exorcism, then
it was Father Amorth's 91st birthday too.
So then they all sing for "He's a Jolly Good Fellow," which makes it really perverse. Like this family.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you think it's over. This mammoth, seemingly uncut pile of just raw exorcism bullshit footage is over. You think you're done, but then he dawdles around with his weird belt and goes and visits these doctors asking, hey, what do you think about exorcism? What do you think about this stuff?
But totally projecting his own agenda.
Always.
But that's what's fun about it. He's a very forceful interviewer, and he just wants to get back to the exorcism. They try to steer clear into other things, but he's like, do you think there's a devil?
The best part of that, and what may be, well, no, it's not the salad dragon scene's still coming.
Yeah.
But what I thought was going to be the penultimate salad dragon scene was when he's talking to the Archbishop of Los Angeles.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, what would you say to the devil? And he'd be like, oh, I wouldn't talk to the devil. Somebody more pure needs to do that. And he's like, you're not pure enough?
What did you just say? Wait, say what you just said again?
So matching that statement with this guy's, it looks like he had, some leper sores on his nose or something.
That was rough.
That was tough
to have him be like, I'm the Archbishop, but I'm not pure enough to dance with the devil.
It was so embarrassing.
Could not handle it.
Friedkin was freaking.
He goes, who higher than you then? Who should I be talking to?
So much so that they go on to some other doctor, and then they come back and he's like, wait, but remember what you said?
He's like, yes, I'm not. I am in over my head. So I should not be the bishop.
So that was pretty funny.
Really, what this movie needed was a good interview with Dr. Ben Carson. I mean, they were interviewing neurosurgeons. They were interviewing deeply devout Christians.
The good Dr. Ben.
You get a 2-for-1 with Dr. Ben Carson.
Exactly, yeah. That would have been...
Ben would have injected some energy into the movie. So then we get to the salad dragon scene.
Salad dragon scene. Oh, the theater was laughing, whoever was there.
It's as if...
I think people were religious in that theater.
No. There was no one religious in that theater.
Not after that movie.
But, okay, so the idea is... Friedkin's like, oh, well, Father Amorth dies because he's ancient. And he's like, well, I couldn't talk to him anymore, but I wanted to follow up with Christina, the woman that got exorcised. Thus begins his description of trying to nail down a meeting place and time with her, scored like it's life and death. So he's like, she called my line producer, and we decided to meet south of Rome in this town, in this park. So there's a mix-up, and she doesn't show up, and they show some kids playing basketball for some reason. And then she's like, no, I said I wanted to meet you in this chapel. So, he goes to the chapel, and then inexplicably, he's like, I didn't bring my camera in to the chapel to meet with her, so I'm going to tell you what I remembered. And
He describes The Exorcist.
What? Bishki, describe what follows. I don't know. I don't know how to describe this.
We get rapid shots of the.
But
of,
only
I
like,
guess,
but only
of-
like 3 rapid shots that he keeps using.
That's true,
that
yeah.
He has to like cut back to.
of B-roll going through that church.
That are layered with like a green tint or like filter, so all the footage looks like, night vision or something.
Yeah, where the strings are blaring, the music, and then
He goes in and
freaking-
he's like, I was very cold and the doors shut.
Yeah, he's describing like a scene out of The Exorcist. She was slithering on the floor, and the boyfriend was pulling her back, and it was.
They were threatening to kill him.
They
and-
demanded his footage.
Yeah, and so, freaking, if you're not going to turn the camera on to show us this,
And he's like,
we can't believe you, man.
he's like, they demanded my footage, but I wanted my film to be seen. It is. He's swinging for the fences, and he's got nothing.
Yeah.
It's
And
so
it
true.
is
It's like,
amazing.
how the mighty have fallen, like it really is beyond whoring yourself for attention. I mean, it's like if that's his only way to stay working and relevant on whatever fucking level, like it's sad. Like it's just
It can barely be called a movie.
They shouldn't have let it out.
It's not a movie. No, they should not have let it out. Like,
They should have kept it in.
I mean, that's
honestly-
why it
I
was.
honestly
That's
think
why
it
it was
would've-
9 o'clock.
I think it honestly
10
would have
o'clock
been a more
screening.
successful documentary had it had just been an actual documentary crew interviewing William Friedkin about
Sure.
him making the movie,
Sure.
about him doing the documentary,
or
and
just
you-
have him walk around like Robert Stack and
and you hear
Unsolved
his
Mysteries.
stories,
Well,
and I think if you heard his stories, it would sound more convincing.
that
or
was the best
compelling.
part of the movie when he's going to the steps from The Exorcist. And he's like, "These are the steps. People call them the Exorcist steps now."
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to the bones, Justin. Since this is your first episode, what's your bone count here? Give it to us.
Can we go lower than 1 bone? Is that
Yeah.
a wolf?
A
This
wolf
is
is a
This is a wolf.
A wolf is the absence of bones.
This is a wolf.
This is a wolf. Do you have anything else to say to add about it, to describe that wolf?
In 2018, I expect a mort from documentaries than what we were given just now. But I am really curious to see how many bones Father Guido Narducci gives it.
Guido
in the front
Narducci,
seat.
how many bones do you give? It looked like
Okay,
you were
here-
in
here-
pain during the movie.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Just talking about it afterwards was still boring. But
That's a sign.
the best part of the situation was it was a really beautiful movie theater that none of us had been to before.
True.
The
True.
the aria
Draped in
Fine
red
arts.
velvet.
fine
It was
arts
fucking cool, right?
in
super
Beverly
cool.
Hills.
Number 2, Lowry's was pretty rad. The bar we went to
Lowry's was
beforehand.
we had a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I can
and
say unequivocally my favorite part of the film is when you offered me some Skittles. Because I hadn't had Skittles in a long time, and they were really good.
Yeah.
I've forgotten how good Skittles were.
All right, the house
Woof.
Woof.
yeah, that was the worst thing ever.
What's up with the house band? Bishki, give it to
I'm
us.
probably gonna be. I'm forgiving
No.
of documentaries. I just
Oh.
I like almost every documentary. See this, if you cut The Exorcist,
You can't be serious.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying this is a good documentary. It's horribly constructed, but to me, Friedkin is like a Werner Herzog figure, where because the way he talks, because the way he conducts himself, he's got a flair for the sensational that's just ridiculous and silly, and I just enjoy it.
How does that translate to bones?
2
though?
bones.
No, no, no.
What? I'm not giving it like. I'm not saying go out and see it. Definitely don't go out and
No.
see it.
No.
But
Yeah,
throw
Vishy.
it out on.
Sleep on it.
Throw on your Netflix.
no.
No,
If you want to go
that
to
shouldn't
sleep.
even be on Netflix. That's gonna be buried in Amazon Prime at best.
Oh.
If you want to go to sleep.
It's good. It's good. We have some disagreements here.
No, you're being
God.
provocative on purpose.
No, I
man.
This is
No
the
way.
this
No,
is the
look.
church
No way.
reenactment of this podcast right now.
Oh.
You're goosing it.
No, look. 2 bones is not hot. 2 bones is not hot.
Riding the wave of this 2-bone review that we're
You
all
gave A
reeling
Quiet
from.
Place 2 bones.
What?
Yeah.
Fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, but
Okay.
seriously,
No, I'm not gonna renege. 2 bones.
Okay.
Let me
he's
ask
sticking
you this
by it.
now.
Oh my
Since
God.
you gave it a 2-bone review, do you think that in 2018 we've just seen too much quality in the documentary department. Is there a time where this could have been more successful? Maybe pre-internet? There could have been some buzz about a real exorcism.
The answer is no, but what do you think?
No,
Maybe
I mean,
before the Blair Witch Project.
I think if he got technically proficient with focusing the camera,
that's a huge part.
I think that he could have had a somewhat interesting documentary.
You gave 2 bones to a movie that was 50% at best in focus.
Yeah, but I didn't care about any of the
The
technical
focus
aspects.
didn't bother me either. Like,
I didn't care
It
about
was just
any
that-
of the technical
it was
aspects.
just that
I thought there
bad.
was some interesting
All right.
banter with him and
Lucas.
psychology.
Lucas,
All right, fuck.
bring us back to sanity here.
This is a wolf for me, and I love Billy Friedkin because I feel I think he had a good idea, but being like the subject interviewer as well as documentarian, he's just lost his touch with reality, and he's obviously very fascinated by the subject matter. I think he could have delivered something incredible had he had a script and an outline and structured it. You know, let's say with him having the woman from the opening who did the exorcism a long time ago, if she was the one kind of like witnessing the current exorcism, you know,
Sure.
like if she was kind of like going to assist Father Amorth,
Sure.
you know, on some level, or if Friedkin had more stories from Father Amorth, like in his convent, like in the dark at night, where he's telling you these like
And had
past,
more
like,
archival
like,
material.
Yeah. You could have recreated or dramatized it with a little bit bigger of a budget. Because if you're gonna do it half-assed the way he does it, you know, when he conveniently forgets the camera, it's like, why not go all the way with it? Like, why are you just using a couple shots and putting a zoom or a whip pan on it? But yeah, man, when you know, when you got in there, you had something to look forward to because you're like, oh, I'm gonna see an exorcism, and when you finally get to it, it's pretty.
It's punishing.
Tepid. It's like an intervention. Like,
It's punishingly
like interventions are more dramatic and intense.
It's aggressively
mystical,
lukewarm,
and it's just so sad.
it makes
how they're all just.
It makes you disappointed in the devil because he, you know, he's the Thanos of Christianity and he's their big villain.
Sure.
And this is the best we get is him saying, "We are Legion.
It's a dying art form.
Never, yeah.
We need,
I am Satan."
We need a new thing like this to
And they
afflict
altered her
people.
voice, John.
No.
They did alter the voice.
Maybe it could have been. It could have been like the actual Friedkin is the devil, right?
That
And
would have been a
and,
great twist.
And that guy, the Exorcist, was a devil. Like, I don't know. I was reading between the lines a little bit there. I was like, maybe he kept sticking his tongue out.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Father Amorth,
is the father the devil? Is he fucking with us?
he was wiping his saliva away a
You know
lot
what I mean?
during this
That was the
exorcism.
only thing I was like, oh, maybe they're like the devil got to us somehow. But that's like a very far-fetched.
I'm gonna render a hard woof on this. This is the worst movie that we've seen since beginning this beautiful podcast.
Oh, it was tough.
It is one of the worst things I've ever seen in a theater.
It's not even a good
the worst thing
travelogue.
ever in a
it's
theater.
not even like a good
One of them.
vacation Italy. Like it's
No,
just
it's terrible.
like holy shit.
I feel
and
like
the
we've
jump
been
cut
pranked.
at the end with the title card. It was just like boom.
yeah,
like,
it feels like old Billy Friedkin pulled a prank on us and shot us in the face with holy water.
Go
It's a good
see
prank.
this movie.
We are so deep in the weeds for you guys tonight. If anybody within the sound of my voice sees this movie, contact us. We want to talk to you about what the circumstances were that led you to that place in your life. But we went and took that bullet for you. If it does waft across your Netflix
No.
possibility,
It'll never be on
5
Netflix.
minutes. No one would
Avoid
make
it.
it 5 minutes.
Avoid
in
it.
that.
unless you want a hard-ass sleeping pill.
Amazon Prime. Amazon
No
Prime.
way.
Well, at the very least, boys, we packed into a Prius.
Oh.
We had a wild Saturday night together.
Oh.
So,
Thank God for Movie Pass.
Thank God
we
for
didn't
Movie
pay a
Pass.
dime for this.
Well, we paid $7.99 per month, so.
Yeah.
Movie Pass made this spoonful of vinegar a lot easier to swallow. Thank you, Brother Justin and Brother Jonathan, for coming out here tonight. Hope you guys had somewhat of a fruitful experience.
It was a big wolf.
And we hope everybody takes care and try to stay away from demons. They're trying to get inside of you at every turn. You got to keep them out because Father Amorth's dead. He can't help you anymore.
They'll make you uncomfortable for 20 minutes.
Exactly. And then you'll be fine. On that special, beautiful note, love and light to the lodge. We love you all.
Love and light.
Love and light.
We are Legion.